Chapter 15, Epilogue, Seeds of Awakening. Dawn crept over Meridian Avenue, casting the city in ripples of bronze and honey. On the rooftop, 5 planters formed a silent circle, their dark earth glinting with the promise of 1,000 blossoms yet to come. Fog hung low between the chimneys, softening city sounds to the hush-held breath. In this suspended space, the 5 seekers gathered for one last ritual, a beginning disguised as farewell. Maya stood quietly at the planter's edge, bare feet, rooting her to the cool brick. She cradled her spiral-carved seed, and each groove pulsed with quiet music. She closed her eyes. Memory rushed in, the night of her first true song, the hesitant trust and the resonance between herself and the city's sleeping heart. The moment in the city of lost names when Kantika claimed with luminous certainty. A surge of old uncertainty flickered. What would this seed matter? Could a single melody change the ground it met? Yet as sunlight brushed her cheek, she remembered the feeling at the fountain, how her music had awoken not only those who heard it, but herself most of all. She nestled the seed in the soil. She touched her violin's bow to the earth. Let this be a beginning, she whispered, and the soil quivered as if in answer. A faint thread of melody rose, echoing across the city. Joe pressed his own seed into the next planter, his hands warm and unhurried. He remembered countless cups poured for strangers, the quiet communion of presence that sometimes took root between 2 people. As he drizzled a drop of strong coffee onto the seed, he recalled a night-long vigil with a grieving friend, and the moment he realized that service was more than comfort, it was bridge building between hearts. As the seed touched the soil, the air filled the scent of home and welcome. As the seed touched the soil, the air filled with scent of home and welcome, and Joe breathed deeply, feeling for once fully received. Elena's seed, echoed with minuscule mazes, rested cool on her palm as she knelt by her planter. She remembered mornings spent chasing questions through the labyrinth of her mind. The night that she left certainty behind, a windowless lab, and the radiant shimmer of Quarentia's name surfacing at the city of lost names. With a finger, she etched a spiral in the damp earth. Let curiosity sprout where answers grow old, she whispered. Sunlight caught a dewdrop, splitting it into a spectral color across the pot, a prism of questioning. Leo held his color-streaked seed he held it lightly as a paintbrush. He gazed at the horizon. The city's lines and shapes became both less and more real with the sun's ascent. He thought of the mural that he painted on a warehouse wall after returning from the 4th room, swirling forms that no passerby could quite explain, but which local children now visited daily, tracing spirals in the dust. He pressed the seed into the earth and daubed a circle of gold dust around it. May art grow where the seed fails, he said. May art grow where this seed fails, he said, and his voice braided with the dawn wind. Tariq, grinning but with tears pricking his eyes, spun his laughter chime seed in his palm. He remembered all those performances where his jokes hid his own pain, and the moment in the keeper's chamber when Jocundus was spoken for the first time. He pressed the seed in, cranked his little laughter box, and let a single giggle echo from the rooftop to street below. A sound of full sorrow and sweetness together. Let the healing joy take root, he murmured, and the wind carried warmth along the block. As the final seed nestled into its place, Dusk gave way to morning completely, and a neighbor's orange cat tiptoed onto the terrace, winding between ankles and planters. On a nearby ledge, a sprig of basil sat at the beaker, or in a beaker. Dr. Chin's silent gift. Maya reached down and planted it beside her seed, laughing for wild flavor and friendship. The others grinned, each one feeling for a moment that the circle's many influences, named and unnamed, were present with them now. Lady Amara stepped forward with her silver braid trailing starlight. You have been given back each name to the world, and now you return it to yourselves. She placed it in open each hand, a pinch of silver dust, harvested from the fountain of forgetting. Sow it freely. What grows may astonish you. The stranger cleared his throat, lifting his gaze above the distant rooflines. Let me leave you with a final story. His voice swelled with currents that seemed to draw in the rooftop, the city, and, just for a moment, the rising sun itself. Once, a single spiral seed landed in a narrow crack in the pavement behind a bakery door. For months, all it felt was trampling boots and grease-laden rain. One morning, an old woman, bitter with loneliness, slipped on the slick stone. She landed by the seed, and as she sat up, cursing her luck, noticed a single green shoot. For reasons she could not explain, she burst out laughing. Her laughter called two neighbors who helped her up and brewed her a cup of kindness. By springtime, a riot of shoots flowered there. That alley, once the city's most forgotten, became a place people came to listen for stories told by the wind between the stalks. He looked at each of them in turn. The spiral always returns, never repeats exactly, and constantly expands. Your seeds are planted not for you alone, but for every heart you will ever know and every corner you will never see. Live your names, and the city itself will awaken. As if on cue, a delivery drone hovered above and dropped a letter addressed simply with a spiral. Joe caught it. Inside was a single, anonymous spiral seed flickering between the colors of all their names, a paradoxical gift from the city itself. Below, a city woke. A young girl across town practiced her flute beside an open window, her melody threading between new leaves. A barista offered a free coffee to a wearied nurse before sunrise. A scientist penned a question in her margin that refused reassurance. An artist mural drew a crowd of wonderstruck commuters on their way to work. A podcast host wiped a tear, half laughter and half relief, at the long end of a call-in show. Back on the rooftop, the five remained, hand in hand, the circle becoming a spiral. They watched the sun finish climbing above the apartment blocks, each beam catching on sprouting green in the planters, each pulse of light passing a promise into the world. The seeds were sown. The work was not an ending, but a beginning, an open invitation to music rippling through consciousness, a practice made real in 100 small and daring ways. In the heart of an awakening city, nothing would ever quite be the same. For those five, and for all who would one day recognize the spiral's call.